Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Jay. Jay is from London, in England, in the UK. So let's see what Jay has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, how are you doing today, Jay? You okay?
Yeah, not bad. It's hot. I'm not good in the heat.
You know what? I was in Rome, in Italy, for the last 2 days, the weekend. I went to for the wedding, and there it was really, really hot. But
Yeah.
I knew that in London as well, it was really hot this weekend, the past few days.
Yeah, it's been right up there, about 32 degrees. It's just a little too much for me. I'm from an Irish family and give me rain and wind any day.
So where are you from, Jay?
I was born in London, but my parents are from Dublin.
I see. And what was the best part of growing up in London in your experience?
Multiculturalism. I look back at photographs of my primary school days, and I'm amazed by what a diverse community I grew
Mhm.
up in coming from my parents are immigrants from Ireland, and
Okay.
so we lived in Kilburn, which is a very at the time I think still is, but a very Irish immigrant area. And so growing up in as a kid in Kilburn, just the diversity of those old pictures from my primary school of so much ethnic diversity, and I look back on that and I really think that it's so important to me that's how I grew up, and that's what my childhood was, just learning from other cultures and accepting other cultures. Because I then went on to a very white secondary school and a very, very white university. So it really was my primary school days that were probably the most multicultural environment that I've been in for a long time.
And do you think nowadays London it still carry on being the same way as before when you were growing up, or do you think have more improvements? People they are more mixed. What do you see regarding that?
Well, everything changes, doesn't it? And I've been a North Londoner all my life, and I now live in Southeast London. And we moved here 3 years ago, and it's really strange because it's very like Kilburn in the 70s and the 80s. It
Uh,
feels that sort of kind of ungentrified at the moment, lots of different communities. There's a Kurdish community, there's a Muslim community. There's so many different communities here in just outside of Woolwich where I live now. It does remind me a lot of growing up in Kilburn. But I think London is constantly changing and constantly evolving. I think that's why, I've lived here for 50 years and I'm still not tired of it. I'm still excited by it, and I've lived in a lot of different areas and I've seen changes happen around me. When you stay somewhere for a long time, you kind of notice change happening in the real time. And it's always extraordinary when I go back to places that I've lived and see how different they are now. I used to live in Stoke Newington, Dalston area, and when I go back now, it's all sort of antique shops and little cute coffee shops and restaurants and cool clubs and stuff. It's a long way from the brothels and the crack dens when I used to live there.
I think the beauty of London is about that. It's about for you to explore in different places in the city. And when you come back again a few years, when you go again, you see the different vibe. Like
Yeah.
as you said, different shops, different tribes, different people. I think that's the beauty, and that's why you never feel like London is the same. There's
Yeah.
always change. There are always things happening. Just who lives in
I
London can
never,
understand that.
I never feel that London is very segregated either. I never kind of
Yeah.
feel that there are areas that are for certain groups of people and areas that are for other groups of people. I've always felt very welcome in all neighborhoods of London and in all areas. But I do think that may be because I'm a Londoner. I
Mhm.
do understand that people that move to London tend to be quite homogenous and stay within their own particular groups. But I think Londoners really, because it's our city, we feel at home just about everywhere. And that's one of the reasons that I love Southeast London. There's so many different communities and so many different cultures and art forms happening here. It's wonderful to experience all of it.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about your career. What do you do for work?
I'm I'm a creative agent. I work with actors and designers and directors and writers. I work with a lot of different creative people, but mainly actors in a TV film and the West End.
So walk me through a little bit about your job. What is the connection? So people, if they want to do some project, some work, like your agency or place kind of help them to develop the project.
We do a lot of different things. Essentially, one of the main things that we do is we seek out and find work for creatives, for actors and directors and designers. But we also, our agency also, we fund certain projects that our clients bring to us. So we might invest a little bit of money into a client who wants to write a short film, or we might give some money to a client that's putting on a cabaret show or a performance, or we might give some money to an off West End production. So we try to encourage, not only do we seek out and find work for our creatives, but we try to encourage them to create and make their own work as well. And we try to give them some financial support towards that as well.
Amazing. Okay, so during the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your career and also about your joys in life. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
I am ready to go on a journey with you, William. I'm ready.
Amazing. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. So I've got here my best friend. Okay, full of the fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, Jay, so before we start the game, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, for some reason don't answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, what's your idea of a perfect day?
Perfect date for me would be the theatre, going dinner somewhere in the West End and then a trip to see a West End show. Probably, if I'm honest, a musical. And then the ideal way to end a date for me would be a taxi home. That's such a treat in London these days, being able to take an Uber home, but more likely probably on the Elizabeth line.
Wow. And why Elizabeth line?
Because it goes straight from the West End to about 10 minutes from where I live. The Elizabeth line, when the Elizabeth line opened, it changed my life. I love it. It's amazing.
Tell me one of the top musical for you right now that's on in London that you've seen already or you haven't seen yet, but you already recommend just knowing about it.
Oh, there's so many. I love Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club in the West End. I've seen that a few times.
Mhm.
I saw a new musical the other day over the weekend called The Little Big Things, which is about Henry Fraser, the paraplegic artist who is a mouth painter. And it was so uplifting and so joyful. I absolutely loved it. I've been talking about it to everybody since. So those are probably my two top tips right now.
Cool. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Jay from London. Next question is, what's the best advice have you ever received?
Wow. Advice I've received. I give advice so much to people, but thinking about the best advice I've ever received is probably something I learned when I was in recovery from alcohol addiction, which is just, this too will pass. Whatever you're feeling right now, whether it's joy or you're feeling content or you're feeling down or you're in a bad place, nothing lasts forever. This will pass. Ride it out and stay with it. And connected to that is you can't have highs without having lows. It's all part and parcel of life. So just learn to kind of acknowledge that those times when you are really down and when you are really struggling, they are there to make you appreciate the up times and the better times even more.
And the opposite, like one of the advice that you gave to someone that, you know, for them were like, wow, when they got back to you, they're like, my goodness, that wasn't the best or the most genuine advice that I've received. Something that comes to your mind right now?
Something that I keep on my phone as my phone, one of my phone screensavers, which is the best of your life is in front of you, not behind you. And I use that a lot to remind people that, and it's something I've learned recently from doing a lot of yoga, that we tend to assume that because something has happened in one particular way in the past, that it is automatically and always going to happen in exactly the same way. And that it's a fallacy. It doesn't always follow that just because things played out in a certain way in the past does not mean that in the future they are going to play out in the same way. So come to stuff with a beginner's mind and take everything as it is presented to you, and examine it as if you're examining it for the first time without any preconceived notions.
Wow, when you said that, I had a little bit of goosebump, a little bit. Powerful. Next question. Right, before the next question, Jay, I remember when I contacted you, you mentioned about you doing a marathon. Yeah, you're running a marathon. So tell a little bit about the experience. Was the first time that I've done or not?
It wasn't the first time that I've run a marathon, actually. I ran a marathon in 2000.
Oh,
All my medals.
I was like, wow, I didn't realize that. When I looked, I was like, oh my goodness, look at that.
Yeah. I ran my first marathon in 2005, and that's when I had just started my journey of recovery from alcohol addiction. And I ran my most recent marathon in April of this year, and that was Brighton. And a couple of weeks ago, I ran a half marathon in Greenwich.
Wow. And tell the experience. How was it? How was the whole journey?
They are all different. The one 20 years ago, I fell at mile 10, and I only recently discovered when I had to go into hospital because I fell off my bike last year, and I had to go into hospital because my knee, I had some mobility problems. And I discovered then that I'd actually, when I fell in the marathon 20 years ago, I'd actually broken a bone in my knee. So my first marathon, I actually walked most of it, and it took me over 5.5 hours to complete that.
Oh,
So the marathon that I ran in April, I was determined that I was going to train for it, and I was going to run a sub 4 hour marathon. And training for that all through winter, through the snow, through torrential rain was just, it becomes a mental journey rather than a physical journey. After a while, you know that you're physically capable of running a marathon. It's whether you're mentally capable of it. And I do remember running Brighton. It was actually, Brighton was in April, and it was the first nice day of weather that we'd had. So we had trained for the marathon for 5 months, all through winter, through rain and storms and hail and everything. And then on the day of the marathon, the sun came out and it was beautiful. But even so, I remember at about 15 miles, just having this voice in my head saying, just walk off. Just no one cares. Just walk to the side. You can stop all this pain. You can go and have a coffee and a donut. And you've done 15 miles is good. And that voice kept on for about 5 more miles. Yeah, it's a mental achievement. I think for me it's a mental achievement rather than a physical one. And the running of the half marathon a couple of weeks ago, that was easy. That was like that, an hour and 45 minutes and you're done. That's like
wow.
what film, you know. But yeah, it's everyone is different, and the one recently was very hot, so again a very different experience to running in spring. So I love running. It clears my head a lot, and I really enjoy it, and I enjoy the process of training for it as well.
Are you planning for a next one now, or are you gonna take some time off?
I ran into, I went for coffee this morning, and I ran into a friend of mine who works on the coffee stand, and he was telling me that he's booked to run Brighton in April of next year, which is the one that I did. And it's got my head going, thinking, oh, I could do Brighton again. Because I didn't get a place for the London Marathon next year. And I'd thought, okay, I'll be 50 by then. That's the end of my marathon running. And now I'm thinking, I could do Brighton again. I could do that. But I'm doing at the end of this month, I'm doing the Welsh Three Peaks Mountain Challenge, which is climbing 3 mountains in a day. So I'm going to get that out of the way before I start thinking about another marathon.
Amazing. Next question is, if you could have dinner with anyone, living or not, who that would be and why?
It would be Judy Garland. I don't know why that suddenly came to mind. When you started that question, I was thinking, say somebody really intellectual and really. So it would be Judy Garland. I love her career so much, and it was kind of my introduction to musical theatre and to this crazy world that I've worked in for 40 years. And I would just love to talk to her about her experiences and her incredible career.
Amazing. When you think about her, what's the best memory of her work that come into your mind?
Because I'm a drama queen, some people will always say, oh, Judy, when she was in The Wizard of Oz and she was young and she had everything, her life ahead of her, and she was innocent and stuff. But I'll always go for Judy at the end of her career. And I think the film I Could Go On Singing is probably the best example of that. And it's like a faded star trying to cope with alcohol addiction and trying to cope with struggling with family and career, and that sort of determination to just keep going at the end of a career that has been blighted by addiction and obesity and betrayal and all kinds of things, and that sort of survivor mode that she goes into, that's the Judy that I'd really want to talk to.
Amazing. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Next question. Hey, Jay, next question is, by the way, I'm saying your name right, Jay?
Yep, Jay.
Yeah, perfect. I think this one's going to be very easy for you. What are you most passionate about?
I'm most passionate about the industry that I work in. It's like I've been in it since I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah. And over time, that's kind of changed. I started as a child performer, so a lot of, like, almost more than half my career, I wanted to be a performer myself, and I was working towards that. And the last 10 years have been about helping other people to achieve their dreams and to forge their creative journey. And I think that's what I'm most passionate about now, is about increasing opportunities for more people to come into this industry from all different backgrounds, from all different cultures, and from all different socioeconomic groups. Range of abilities and disabilities and genders. I want to see all of it. I want to encourage more and more young people to see this industry as something that is inclusive and that is for them, rather than something that is a special treat that they go to and see maybe once or twice a year. That's my passion now, getting more people into this industry and paving that way for them.
Question for you. People who contact you, to connect or to do a project, what's the most frequent questions that they come up to ask you? The most frequent maybe doubts or something that they're not aware of, or some maybe some advice. What's the most common question that come to you to the business?
I think the most common question, whether it's articulated or not, is there a place for me in this industry? I think there's a lot of people who come into this industry from backgrounds that are not traditionally, or have not traditionally been seen as being represented in our industry. And they are wondering whether there is work for them, and whether there is a place for them, and whether they can be part of it. But equally, I see it from people who are very well represented in the industry, who wonder whether there is room for them. I think one of the things that I love about this industry so much is that there is a place for everybody, and finding what makes an individual, what makes you unique, is always the key to finding your place within a group. Brené Brown says a lot in her work. She talks a lot about how trying to fit in is actually what holds us back the most, because we're then trying to be something that we're not. If we're trying to fit into a certain social group or a certain social class, or we just want to fit in with a group of people who like a certain type of music, what we're doing is we're pushing down on who we are as individuals, and fitting in is trying to fit in is probably the opposite of what we need to do as human beings. Being individual and standing out is often what it generates more charisma and makes people much more attracted to us. I know I'm much more attracted and interested in people who are different, who stand out in some way. And rather than trying to fit in with them, I'm just interested in what makes them tick. But part of that, I think you learn that as you get older, that, you know, I'm too old to be trying to fit in these days. I'm like, I am me, I do me. And, you know, you like it or you don't. I'm very happy with who I am becoming.
Amazing. My goodness, you're saying all of that. My mind is going around with a lot of ideas right now, Jay. You have no idea.
Oh, great.
Oh my God, my goodness. It's interesting you saying all of that now, because I'm literally I just reached 1,000 interviews on the show like very recently, and it's gonna be 3 years now, the show in October, and I've got a project in my mind that you have no idea. I love doing the Magic Box is gonna be forever here, but besides that, I've got other projects as well connect with it, yeah. And one very, I think I never seen this project that I've been I've been thinking about that for a long while since I started the Magic Box, but I saw it as a second step of it, and I've been thinking a lot about that. I've been even talking, open up about the idea with like different people. And you're saying all of that now. My goodness, I would love one day maybe to talk to you about it. To sit down and put everything, because when you think about something and you can picture happening, when you put all, I'm sure you don't know that very well, like the energy there. So yes, I might be talking to you like deeply about that, because it's, as you said, about trying to fit in, being different, being unique, being, you just need to see your essence, what's different on you that maybe you never saw there, something unique about not just yourself, but your job, the art that you do. So when you're saying that, and I totally agree, I think, as you say, try to fit in something that you don't have, it's something that you don't worry about that anymore. You know what I mean? That's some in the past already. You are already fitting anyway. Whatever you are, how you behave, you're already part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Wonderful writer on creativity who's an ex-dancer and is now a choreographer, but she writes about the creative process. Her name is Twyla Tharp, and she outlines the five things that stop us from starting new projects. And one is fear of what other people will say. Another is that what we're doing isn't original, someone's already done it. One is that people will laugh at us. I can't remember off the top of my head the other two, but it's brilliant. She outlines them in her book, 1 to 5, and then she beats them down with a stick. And essentially, she encapsulates it in one phrase, which is stamp your foot and shout begin. And that's all we need to do. Start a process and see where it takes you, because it's always the journey that matters, not the end result, not where you get to. It's what
Absolutely.
you learn along the way.
Totally agree. Totally agree. I think the most enjoyable part, whatever you are doing, is the journey. It's a journey, like how you're doing, how you're learning, how you are making mistakes, how you are connecting, how everything. That's enjoyable. And when you look back, you go like, my goodness, that's fun. That was fun, or that's still fun happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, all of us, we want to reach somewhere, but don't focus there. No, let's step by step you get into the right place. Because when you get there, you're gonna look back and you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna be proud, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I don't want to see that. Well, I was too silly. That's the most enjoyable part, when you look back and you see this journey like flowing naturally, genuinely as well.
There's a great phrase that I use a lot, which is that life's journey can only be lived forward, but only understood backwards. And I think that's absolutely correct, that we look back and we go, that's why I had to do that. That's why I had to have that moment of despair in order to get me to the next stage.
Absolutely. Next question. Let's do it. Yeah, before the next question, I was checking your profile and it says there that you are nobody queer. Yeah. So tell me, how is being nobody queer in London?
I think London is probably the easiest place to identify that way and to live your life that way. Possibly New York would be by far easier. Every time I'm in New York, I feel such a sense of relief and the ability to express myself in a way that I sometimes feel constricted in other places. But London is certainly somewhere that you can pretty much it's changing now, and I think that there are, there's a lot of talk about the dangers of being queer in London, and there's a lot of hate crime on the increase, but I still think it's probably one of the safest places to live because there are communities, and there are large communities here, and we are visible, and we are a part of everything. I think that's probably why so many people flock to London and flock to my industry as well. I always say that my industry is a home for the outsider and for those that have felt different in other fields, and so I think any big city is where we come to feel safe and part of a crowd and part of a group. And I certainly feel that living the most authentic life is probably easier for me because I live in London than it is for somebody who lives in a small rural village or town or even, a city in another country. I do feel a lot of who I am and a lot of my personality is informed by, being a 50-year-old Londoner.
Next question for you is, what is your funniest memory of a date that you had?
Do gays date? I wonder.
See,
I wonder if we just, we hook up, and then we're in a relationship. I don't. That's. I've been with my husband for 15 years, and we've been married for 8.
wow.
And from the first day that we met, we've been a night, and we've been together. So I think after we never really dated. I don't know, other than like, oh, we haven't done anything romantic together for 3 years. Let's go out for dinner. I don't know that I've been on a date properly with anyone ever. Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry, William. I don't.
That's so, no, it's an answer. I mean, there's always an answer. They're not right or wrong, but it's just an answer. And who fell in love first between you and your husband?
We both said it at the same time. We both knew on the night that we met that this was something different and special for both of us.
Wow.
So yeah, so we didn't have an engagement date. We didn't have a sort of a proposal. We knew from the first day that we were going to get married and we were going to be together, and that this was for the long term. And so it was never really something there was never a moment of saying I love you for the first time. I think we just kind of both knew it there and then. I think we may have said it the next morning, actually. I don't know. I can't really remember.
After, when he's watching the interview, he'll go like, actually, I remember that day.
He'll get out his diary and he'll be like, actually.
Yeah. Tell me, what's the biggest difference between both of you and the biggest similarity?
There's a 13-year age gap. So the biggest difference is we have completely different cultural references. That's got better over 15 years together. I've educated him in my generation, and he has educated me in his. But there are certain like songs that I will get excited about that he's never heard before. I think the biggest difference that we've been talking about recently is I'm a morning person. I wake up and I'm awake. There is no sort of easing into the day. I'm up and I'm firing on all cylinders straight away. And my husband takes, shall we say, a little bit longer to kind of join me in that headspace. He will be up until I'll be in bed by sort of 10, 11, and he will be up until 1 or 2 in the morning. We're on very different time frames, and I think the biggest similarity between us is just how passionate we both are about this industry that we work in. I think that was one of the things that connected us at the beginning, and now we're married, we work together, and I think our shared love for this industry is probably our biggest similarity.
And now he's gonna say, I totally agree with him. 3 questions left. Let's do it. But before the next one, as you mentioned during the interview regarding the alcoholism addiction, yeah? When was the moment that you realized that was a problem, yeah? And when was the moment that you said, okay, I need to start a new journey from now on? Tell me both experiences.
I think I've kept a diary on and off since I was about 15, 16 years old. And if I'm really honest, I look back on those early diaries, and I knew I had a problem with alcohol back then. I was drinking every day from about 16 years old. I wasn't getting drunk every day, but I was absolutely having like a beer or a vodka and tonic or a glass of wine every single day. And there are a lot of entries in those early diaries of me paralytically drunk, just writing gibberish. And I knew I had a problem. There's also a lot of entries about how, I must cut down on my drinking. So the knowing that alcohol was something that I struggled with, it came very early for me, something that I relied on. It was very much something that a crutch. But actually doing something about it didn't come until I was 30. So it took a long time for me to really kind of say, this has to end now. And that came about after, I just kind of realized that I'd spent an entire summer in a basement with, a bottle of vodka a day and, a bag of and I wasn't living. I was literally hiding from the world, refusing to answer the phone, refusing to do anything. And certain things happened around that time that brought it to a head. And I went to AA, and I spent about 5 years in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that was 20 years ago, 19 years. Yeah, 19 years ago. I've just, August was my 19th year without a drink.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Next question is, who makes you laugh the most?
My husband.
I knew it.
No one makes me laugh like Reese does. Constantly as well. It's like I have lots of friends who are very funny. Like I work in an entertainment industry, and there are, I have friends and I have clients that can make me laugh like a drain, but consistently, I think Reese makes me laugh every single day. Definitely Reese.
Very good. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Before the next one, people watch the interview right now. They would like to contact you to work with you or to get more knowledge or more advice regarding the business. What would be the best way, or what would be your best piece of advice for people to get to?
My best piece of advice would be to buy my book.
Tell me about it. Please tell me about it. Let me see the title. Getting Keep and Work with Your Acting Agent. Wow, amazing.
I wrote this during lockdown. Nick Kern Books approached me at the beginning of lockdown and asked if I would write this book based on some blogs that I'd written. And then lockdown happened, and I didn't have anything else to do. So I would wear my earbuds, and I would take my dog on long walks. We have 100 acres of open space around here, woods and forests and commons and parklands. I would take my dog on long walks, and I would dictate my thoughts onto an app on my phone. And I would come home and I would edit those into a book. So that's what I spent my lockdown doing, writing a book that I hoped would help people coming into this industry, just kind of demystify what it is that I do as an agent, and just give them some advice on how to approach people like me and how to work with agents. So yeah, that would be my best piece of advice. Go and buy my book.
Amazing. Love that. Next question is, what has been the happiest point of your life?
It sounds ridiculous to say, but I am so privileged. There have been so many highlights. Like, I made my West End debut when I was 13 years old, and you know, and so many, and I've helped so many clients, and seeing their dreams come true, and marrying my husband. That, I have to get that in there. They're honestly a lot, but in recent years, it really has been. When I was a kid, there were three things I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a writer. And I've spent most of my life as an actor. I became a teacher 20 years ago, and I taught in a secondary school in London for 2 years before deciding that teaching was not at all what I wanted to do. And so the day that my book arrived, the day that my publisher sent me my own copy of it,
Wow.
that's probably the most recent major highlight of my life. And that kind of, but with that, William, came a fear that I was like, well, that's all I ever wanted to do, be an actor, be a teacher, and be a writer. And I've done all three. Now what do I do? So that came with a lot of fear
Interesting.
about what's the next stage of my life and my journey. But yeah, I think that's, in recent years, that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of.
I know what's your next one now. Working together with the Willie and the Magic Box. To get Willie and the Magic Box all the way to the moon and all the way back.
Maybe.
Look my arms, all full of goosebumps now. My goodness, Jay, my God. There we go. If you find yourself thinking too much, get the right direction. Okay, I put already seeds in your mind.
Okay.
Ready for the last one? Let's
Ready.
do it. Last question. Before the last question, through your career, your business, tell me a situation or a moment or anything that's always gonna have a special place in your heart. Like anything related with your business or with your career.
It would be when I left the company that I was working for and set up my own company. I think working for yourself is not everyone's dream, but it certainly was always my ambition and my intention that I would have my own company and I would work for myself. And as much as I loved the company that I was working at, and I learned so much from them, after 5 years, leaving there to set up on my own is probably one of my big days in my life.
And when you just realized that was the moment that for you to start this new journey?
I realized when I realized I wasn't as happy doing what I was doing as I could be and had been. I'd been promoted a couple of times, and my responsibilities had changed, and I'd found that it was taking me further away from day-to-day work with my clients, and my client list was much bigger, and I just kind of felt that I'd lost that personal touch and that personal connection, and I decided that what I needed to do was rebuild that around the things that I found interesting, and so part of that was working with a much smaller group of people, and just getting back to that hands-on feeling rather than running a large company. No, nothing against large companies, they're great, and again, I learned a lot. I just think where I am in my life right now, I'm much more suited to a small project.
Okay. Last question is, what's your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV, my husband, I have what my husband calls babysitting programs, which are programs that I watch over and over and over again, like Gilmore Girls and Glee and Good Wife. They all begin with G. Gilmore Girls, Glee, Good Wife. and I watch them over and over and over again. But I watch so much. It would be really hard to pick a favorite show. I think Gilmore Girls is probably the show that I've watched in its entirety, all seasons of, more than any other show. I used to watch it every Christmas. It would get to like December the 1st, and I would start my Gilmore Girls marathon, and I would see how long it would take me to finish all seasons of it. So yeah, it's just very comforting and very. It's just very nice. At the moment, though, I'm absolutely obsessed with Heartstopper. I think it's just wonderful and genius writing, and so sweet and endearing, and I'm aware that it's a utopia for like queer and gender non-conforming and trans kids, and I'm aware that life is not that beautiful and hopeful and romantic, but God, a part of me hopes that it can be, and that Heartstopper is part of making that world reality for queer kids growing up today. Because I never had that, and I watched that show, and I think I never had those moments of being a teenager and having my crush hold my hand in secret at school, and I think a lot of queer kids didn't have that. We pretended. I had girlfriends that I would take to school dances and parties, and I would just love it if there is a world that is like Heartstopper, where queer kids are having those sweet and romantic and endearing, beautiful experiences that I think other people take for granted. So yeah, Heartstopper I'm obsessed with at the moment.
Who was your first crush?
Oh gosh. First, it was it's going to make no sense, but
Okay.
it was probably Howard Keel, who was an old musical theatre performer who always played these very rugged, masculine, like farmhands and cowboys, and but also sang with this amazing voice. Probably Howard Keel was probably my first real crush. I'm certainly not going to tell you who was my first real person that I had a crush on.
Tell me in private, send me a message. I promise to keep it myself. Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
Start with money.
Freedom.
Family.
Difficult.
Love.
Oh, easy.
I like that, because usually it includes myself. I think about hard, difficult, painful. I like that. Sex.
Fun.
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 Life.
Long.
Okay. Politics.
Complicated.
Religion.
Oh, so many things to say about that. Religion's a very triggering word for me. I went to a very strict Catholic school. I think if religion comforts you, good for you.
Okay. Fear.
Ever present.
Okay. Friendship.
Hard.
Desire.
Easy. Simple. Constant.
Regrets.
I want to say pointless, but I think regret is valuable.
Absolutely. Success.
Something to work for.
Wish.
Something to work for.
Happiness.
A roller coaster.
One word for London.
Vibrant.
One word for acting.
Home.
One word for writer.
Aspiration.
One word for teacher.
No. Not.
And the last one, if you could define your book, yeah, in one word, what that would be?
An agent in your pocket.
Interesting. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your lovely husband for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, tell me the most beautiful thing about Jay, and tell me something that he still needs to work on to improve on. What he would say.
I think he might say my eyes. And I think he would say my patience is something I need to work on.
What's your star sign?
I'm on the cusp, Sagittarius, Capricorn.
Interesting. Let's play now, Jay and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But hey, you can ask me a question now, Jay.
I have watched a few of your videos, and having met you now, you are the smiliest person I think I've seen. What, away from this, what makes you smile?
I'm gonna hide myself after the compliments. I was looking for the Magic Box to hide myself. Good question, Jay. What makes me smile? My goodness. Wow, a beautiful question. What makes me smile? My goodness. You know what makes me smile? The first thing that comes to my mind right now, simplicity. Any gesture of simplicity, like, you know, sometimes when I see something like on public transport, when I was traveling, if I see someone doing something to someone, like even like carrying up, it could be anything, it makes me smile. Literally, genuinely, maybe sometimes they don't know even. I look at them, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Happened something the other day that I saw it. I saw a gentleman doing something for another gentleman. I don't remember what was the thing, but genuinely made me smile. I said, "Oh my God, how amazing to see that!" I don't remember what was, but I think simplicity for me, any kind of simplicity, could be, you know, a gesture, could be even sometimes a lot. I smile with myself as well, like thinking about other things as well. So I think anything like so when I see genuine gestures, you know what I mean, that makes me smile. That makes not just smile but warm my heart, you know. Just I just feel good about when I see something genuinely made, something genuinely expressed, you know what I mean, somebody express any kind of, you know, of kindness, anything that is genuine, anything that is very simple. It makes me smile genuinely, like literally I catch myself smiling. And sometimes I just like put my, you know, my head on the side just to smile, or, you know, I just, even if I'm not smiling, but inside I'm literally like explode of, you know. I think it's so nice to see kind gestures. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's amazing for me. So that's the first thing comes to my mind is about simplicity. Overall, it's about simple simplicity. It's beautiful simplicity. It's genuine and makes me smile for sure.
Lovely.
Yeah. And of course, the Magic Box every single day. Like when I'm connected with people, it makes me smile all the time. Did you enjoy the interview, Jay?
I did. Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being so sweet and join the journey. It was amazing to have you here. Thank you. Thanks so much. But before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. I wish I could live by that, by the way. I wish you know, I wake up in the middle of the night worrying about things that I cannot solve in the middle of the night. I do not need to be worrying about and may not ever happen. I am the worst at sweating the small stuff, but I think something that really helps me is 30, 30, 30. Will this matter in 30 days? Will this matter in 30 weeks? Will this matter in 30 months? And adjust accordingly, adjust your reaction accordingly. That helps. But yeah, try. Yeah, just we talked briefly about religion earlier, and I think I'm probably more towards Buddhism than anything else. And the phrase we are spiritual bodies having a human experience. I love that. I think we're here for 80 to 100 years, which in the grand scheme of things is a drop in the ocean. And I think we are here to enjoy ourselves, to have as many wonderful and upsetting experiences as we can, and to gather all those experiences together and return to a spiritual realm, to a heavenly realm with that information. I think we're here for 80 to 100 years to understand for that period of time what it means to be human, and then we go back to our spiritual forms with that information. We add that to the great whole. I think that's probably my concept of religion. And so I think for the time that we are here, try and enjoy it and try and learn and experience as much as you can.
Absolutely. And I believe as well. I remember like when I was around 18 years old, I had a very good friend of mine, her parents, they were very spiritual, like, you know, and I remember they telling me that you come to this world, as you said, to learn, to live, to make mistakes, to become a better person. And if you, for some reason, you don't reach that point, you come again and you have the opportunity again to do the same until you get to one point where you've learned and you're going to be able to help others as well. And I never forget that, actually. It was a long time ago. I never forget that. It stayed in my mind. It makes so sense what I just said right now. I totally believe as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Life is a box of opportunities for us to, you know, to learn and to grow and to become a better person. Yeah.
It's a magic box, William.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jay, and you keep in touch,
Thank
okay?
you.
All the best, okay? Take care.
Take care. Lovely to meet you.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.